Hey, this is Shoot.The.Shit podcast, and we're here to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am here with Joey,
Hello.
and I'm here with Joseph.
Hello.
They're really formal, but they'll loosen up. So, obviously, talking about the game and kind of like when I got noticed this happened, it's kind of a funny story. Um, we were based. Oh yeah, my dogs they bark. It's kind of a funny story because I got out of work at around 2 in the morning, and I was on Facebook, and I was just like, "Holy shit, it's here!" And I originally was just not happy with Square Enix because Kingdom Hearts 3, that was such a letdown. I don't know if you guys could attest to that, but it was pretty awful.
Joseph probably could.
Oh yeah, you haven't played it either?
No, I haven't played it.
Oh, really?
I hope I didn't kill the hype for you then, because it's.
Oh, well.
Nah, I'll probably eventually still play it. I just haven't played it and gotten around to it.
It's. I mean, I'll let you. We'll talk about that later, I guess. So anyway, I lost faith in them, and I saw the Facebook post, and I was just like, dude, it's 2 in the morning. Fuck it. And I literally hop on my PlayStation. I download it within like 10 minutes because of fucking AT&T fiber line. And I was just like, nah, I should go to bed. And I'm like, nah, who the fuck am I kidding? I gotta play this shit. So obviously after them making their PAX East kind of conclusion, it looks like they just decided to drop the demo after all, even though there was a lot of data mining in the video or in the demo itself, I'm sorry, which sucks because it's actually the spoilers all over the place. So if you guys go on Reddit and don't want to spoil it in a sense about like what's to come, I wouldn't do that, and I advise
really?
not to.
Oh man.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
No, I didn't know.
Dude, it sucks because like that's part of the reason I think The Last of Us Part 2, because they were questioning to release a demo for some reason, which I personally don't agree with. I mean, there's something about teasing that game that just would make me mad because I'd play it and I'd be like, I want more, and then I'd have to
But it's
wait.
because like Final
know?
Fantasy, we already like kind of know what's gonna happen, so it's like.
Yeah, I mean, this is
fine.
it's such a mainstay, like staple in like culture now too. I mean, like it is Final Fantasy VII. I mean, most people that play Final Fantasy know 7, 8, 10,
right,
and probably the first 3, realistically, or the first 4 maybe. But obviously, like what was cool, I guess, for the most part. I mean, we'll dive into this a lot more. You're right, people would know, but apparently there's actually some crazy stuff they added to the game.
Really?
And
wow.
and we'll talk about it here in a minute.
So
but
excited.
Reddit definitely, someone made it very apparent that happened, which is a shame because it's so legit for the most part. But
dang, that sounds so cool.
Right? I'm stoked, man. I was like fucking. Okay, well now, like, definitely, like, 1 through 10, like, my first impression of this game. You know, it's definitely, honestly, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm pretty critical about shit right now, especially for something that I care about. This game took for me, about 3 to 4 years to pass. And I spent, if I recall, when I was like 14, 15, it was like my hour count was like 160 hours. Some bullshit like that, and it was pretty ridiculous. But you know, I'm actually going to give it right now in this moment a 10. You know, I'm actually really excited on where it goes. You know, a 10 is really where I firmly believe this game is going. Part of the reason for that is like I feel like if you play the first one, it's almost like you're reading a book. And then like you play this new modern take on it, and it's like the cinematic version to it, in a sense. And it's one, not only beautiful, but like there's so much stuff that I'm excited to see. And obviously, we're going to dig into that. Like, definitely, my rating right now is definitely a 10. Joey, what do you think about it? How do you feel about it?
Well, personally, I do not have much experience with Final Fantasy VII. Like, first time I ever played it was back on the PlayStation 3 when they released it there, and I only got up to the first boss, and that was like it. But visually, watching, because I was watching a walkthrough recently, the graphics are fantastic. Like, and the way the cutscenes transition into the gameplay is like it's butter.
Yeah.
So visually, I think it's pretty. So I think I want you two to, enlighten me more on gameplay because I believe that's probably the most important thing and why you allow the gameplay to be a 10 out of 10 as well.
That's a good question, and I guess we'll touch base as we kind of go through our topic.
Yeah, because when I was watching, the
point.
gameplay looks real different. It looks really different, like modern Final Fantasy gameplay.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting, but we'll totally touch base on that again. But that's a great question. I actually really happy you said that. And we'll definitely tackle that. But so for now, just to be clear, you don't have an impressions yet until we're, I guess, done going over the game. Or the demo. I'm sorry. Okay, that's cool. All right, Joseph, what do you think?
10 out of 10, man. It's beautiful. It looks amazing.
Visually, yeah, like it's beautiful.
It sounds amazing.
It's gorgeous.
It plays amazing.
I mean, dude,
the soundtrack.
Like,
oh my god.
Oh man, there's so much relief, honestly, playing this demo, because I mean the last time they released a demo was Final Fantasy 15, and if I could reflect on that just a minute, man, it was cool. I mean they had a different concept going as far as the battles.
Final Fantasy 15. What's crazy is that the demo is different from the game. It's like not even the same.
Yeah, you could tell they got a lot of feedback. And we're like, we need to change some shit. So, like, I don't know. I'm curious because, I mean, I haven't heard a whole lot of negative feedback on this yet. I mean, I feel like I need to look it up, but I haven't heard a lot of negative stuff. And,
excuse me.
I feel like that demo in itself was, like, interesting. I mean, it caught my attention, but honestly, I didn't care for 15 when I actually played the game.
Same.
So, the fact that the demo here makes me really excited.
Yeah.
And to call it a 10 out of 10 game is going to be really cool. But since I guess we have our consensus for now, let's talk about the environment, man. Like, what do you guys think about like the opening sequence to that game, like or to the demo, and like?
It's so beautiful.
I mean, there's got
beautiful.
Right, that's just the thing. It's just beautiful. But
remember, folks, my eyes, they only see in 1080p, and even then, it looks beautiful.
That shocked me. It's like, what?
Well, like, in other words, my eyes kind of suck. So, and I still I can still see it like as something special. I
get you.
Because usually, like, if I see a high-resolution image next to a low one, if I see them from a distance, they look the same. But, like, with these two games, it's night and day. It's freaking gorgeous. You get where I come from?
That's true. I mean, like, no, I totally agree. I mean, I know, obviously, it's beautiful. But, like, I mean, what's cool is, like, they didn't fuck with it. Like, I know
it's always been the same. Bro.
Like, I know as they move along, they're expanding the universe, and we're going to be able to do more in Midgar compared to the original game. But like that first
crazy sequence, because the original game you could do a lot, and I just imagine how much you can do even now. Like, what the heck? It's crazy.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm thinking. Like the fact that they pretty much to the T did the demo, that opening movie, pretty much the same, except I don't recall Eris getting bumped into in the first one. I want to say she just.
I don't remember that either.
I was about to say, now that I think about it, that's probably the only subtle difference. made a whole lot of sense for her character though. And
Yeah.
you know, I think when they shot that,
It's so
they
good.
used
Oh
they
my
used a
gosh.
lot of so much like cinematography from like the basic game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like it just looked so good, just dressed up all over again. Because I was just so excited. The minute you see the train, like they zoom out, you see all of
I
Midgar,
know. And you
you
see the
see every
train.
sector, and then it cuts to
Oh,
the train, and I'm like, oh, dude, Cloud's coming! Like, holy shit!
Oh, here
It,
comes Cloud.
it, dude, it was legit, man. Like, there's a lot to the look of the game that they stuck true to it. Um, and though, like, I feel like the levels are more condensed, the detail of the map itself is almost accurate. I feel because, like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking at like a kind of like a 2D platformer being made into a 3D world, you know, you kind of think about like, well, man, what does that corner of the wall look like? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and you know, when I saw this world, it felt like that's exactly what they were doing. Kind of like with Resident Evil 2. You know, when we talk about that game and that different angles they now had to create because the way you were playing the game, it feels like they're doing the same with this. And I think
Yeah.
that's a good example of what they did with the level design. Um, because, I mean, as far as like, what was y'all's favorite, I guess, segment or like part of the map you would say that you enjoyed the most to look at and you could probably keep looking at?
Hmm. That's an
From the
interesting.
demo.
What was that?
From the demo.
Yeah, obviously from the demo. Yeah, because
Right.
I mean, like, you know, oddly enough, for me, like, I would definitely say it's that shot of them going into the Mako reactor. What's that tapping?
What's that noise?
Oh, what was it?
Right? Oh, what was that? But yeah, it's them going into the Mako reactor. That one shot where, you know, you leave Wedge and it's Biggs, Jess, Barrett, and Cloud, and they're like, "Hey, hurry up!" And then they're going in, and you just see the shot of the Mako reactor and of what they're going to go into. Um, I thought that looked fucking cool. That shot was phenomenal in itself. It looked really good. Um, what was yours, Joseph?
I mean, I love seeing the whole city. It looks so beautiful. It's like,
Oh, like in
wow.
that one shot when they just pan out, like in the beginning.
Yeah. The whole city is like, what? It's actually like, real. It's like, I don't know. It's just so awesome to see it in the new graphics. It's like, oh.
Dude, how old were you when you played this?
Oh, me? Because I never played part 7. Um, so what's crazy is that I saw the movie for part 7, like when it came out in 2005. I didn't understand anything because it's supposed to take place afterwards.
Oh, you're talking about Advent Children, right?
Advent Children, yeah.
Yeah. Advent Children was fantastic, dude. Oh, so wait, you haven't even played 7?
I did. But the thing is that like
Okay.
I watched that first, right? And I was like, what, like 6 or 7, but I didn't understand anything. And then whenever I was like 9 or 10, I got Crisis Core for the PSP, and so I played that one. And then not until I was like 16, I played Final Fantasy 7, like the actual game.
That's crazy. You played it at such a, like, in a sense, like you're much more mature when you played it, because I
Yeah.
played this game probably when I was 11 or 12, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because if I recall, that's when I started playing it. And at first, I think it was actually my first RPG game.
Oh wow, really?
Because I had just gotten my PS1, and this was the small one, the one that was like a circular rectangle. And it we went to, I don't know if it was like Walmart back in the day, or it's probably Walmart. I mean, I live in Eagle Pass, so I'm sure it was the Walmart that was in the mall. The Walmart that was in the mall. So it was so weird. We had a Walmart in the mall, and
That's so weird,
yeah, dude, that's Eagle Pass for you.
dude.
But yeah, and I remember walking through, and it was a greatest hit at the time. So it had already been out for I guess, an X amount of time. And
Right.
I was just like, what was it, four? No, it was 3 disc. It was 3 disc on PlayStation. And I was like, what's this game about? And I think in the back, all I remember was seeing at the time, it was, I think Red was on the back cover. And like just pictures of like um, Midgar, and obviously that iconic front cover. And I was just like, I don't know what this is, but fuck it. Like, I'm just, Dad, I want this one. And, he looks at me and he's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh. So I get it. And it was just life changing in a sense because that shit was the bomb. I mean, again, like 100, what did I say earlier? 140, 160 hours. That shit was wild, man. And it's crazy to see how far they bridged the gap and the imagination I'm sure it took to make that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty insane for sure. But let's talk about gameplay now.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Joseph, on the gameplay so far?
It's very interesting. It's more like Final Fantasy 15. It's more like automatic and stuff. If you play like the normal mode or the easy mode, because I haven't tried the classic, so I don't know if that's different. How that's different.
So
But
you played it on easy or normal?
no, I played it on normal.
Interesting. Huh. I got a different impression of it, to be honest with you.
It feels like 15, but probably a little bit more involved. But
No,
it's
that
more
makes
like
sense.
15.
No, that makes sense. I mean, for me, like I felt like whatever they did with Kingdom Hearts,
See, it's because I
they
haven't
fused
played
it
Kingdom
with.
Hearts, so that's why I don't know.
You haven't played any Kingdom Hearts?
No, I've only seen gameplay.
What? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, it literally feels like they got Kingdom Hearts mechanics and they put it together with Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, okay.
That's what I get from it because, mind you, you could button mesh like you can, but it's like eventually you find out you can't just do that.
Right.
Because what was interesting about the gameplay is when they introduced Barrett.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Right? It was fucking amazing. But yeah, so he comes. You play as Cloud, right? And obviously he has a sword, and typically, you can just hit square as much as you want, hold it down. Oh, excuse me. And it had a lot of fucking cool moves, right? And
Yeah.
but then when you go to Barrett, his moveset is entirely different. Like the way you play with him is that you actually hold down square. He's shooting his Gatling gun, and he's obviously slower as a character,
Yeah.
but he has different commands, which is like again Kingdom Hearts, where you would activate the command menu, choose what they do, and controlling them simultaneously was probably the hardest thing for me because.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I played this at 2 a.m, so I'm sure my brain wasn't exactly functioning. I was just fucking button mashing. But it was interesting because eventually, like you're fighting the easy characters, and then it eventually builds up to harder characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog, when you first meet the dog thing that comes out, it was actually much harder than I anticipated because it was still fucking me up in certain ways. And then I got to the boss, and the boss is that giant scorpion spider looking thing.
Right, the scorpion guy.
Is
that where it ends?
It doesn't. Well, it technically does. Like you technically. That's right. You haven't finished the demo.
I just got to that point.
Yeah. So you fight the scorpion thing, dude, and it was hard. I think that was something that I enjoyed about it the most. Difficult.
That's what's so cool about I think Final Fantasy is that the bosses are always like difficult, but like because you have to use some strategy. Depending on what boss it is, you have to like use more of this, like or more magic or evade like that and blah blah blah. Like that's what I love about Final Fantasy is like the bosses are always challenging in their own way. It's awesome.
Yeah, and like what's crazy, like if you think of like the fight in the old school one, obviously very turn based, and there's
Right.
even a trick where okay, if he has his tail up, don't hit it, and in this one you don't get that option. You have to hide behind a barrier at some point because if you don't
Oh,
get it, then he'll hit you with the laser, and you could die. But he also has like a completely diverse moveset that I couldn't really pinpoint because I was just like, okay, he's gonna swing now, and he doesn't, and I'm just like, oh shit, like what the fuck? And then like I'm trying to button mash with both Barret and Cloud, and then also use their abilities and their cure, their potions, and dude, I
right.
was like, I almost died like 4 times at least until I actually beat him. Um, it took about like I would say it took close to like almost 7, 8 minutes, maybe 10. I don't know. It felt long, but it was difficult, and like it shows like the game eventually you have to use strategy as far as like how to use them simultaneously, and I know I'm going to play through it probably once or twice more just so I could understand how to do that before the actual game comes out.
I get you.
Because I mean, the fact that you could flip simultaneously so easily too was a blast. I mean, at one point I would, what do you call it? I would some point basically be fighting, right? And then a long range weapon would come out, and dude, it would rock my shit.
I get you.
But it was fun. But yeah, dude, gameplay wise, like it's unique and it's different.
It is. It is. That's what I like about it. Like, it still feels fresh even with the gameplay, and it's funny because like, it's not just graphics but gameplay. It's like that's awesome. So it makes it awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty stellar. I mean, like, and the rumor is that like they're just gonna do Midgar for this first game. So realistically, you're gonna get to play as 5 people in this game. So you'll play as Cloud, Barret, Tifa, Eris, and Red. And
Oh,
because like it pretty much, if I recall, it's only them 5 in Midgar, and then you get Yuffie out in the plains, um, and then you get Vincent in forgot what fucking Sephiroth City or some shit, and then Sid in his hometown. Um,
right.
so that should be entirely different and fun considering how to play. But yeah, dude, it's pretty stellar. What do you think, Joe? You've been kind of quiet. I mean, obviously, you're hearing us and just kind of asking for that feedback.
Well, I think it's best for me to absorb more information so I can get a better understanding. So I think I'm just going to keep listening to y'all and watching the gameplay because I'm watching footage right now so I can understand it better,
But have you seen any of the fight scenes yet?
Yeah, I've seen one.
I guess you'll really see it like when you get to the boss battle because that's probably the longest segment realistically.
Uh-huh.
It's fun, man. It's definitely different, and I feel like I'm gonna be pissed at this game when I die because that's another thing. Like if we're gonna talk about like health bar, you get hurt pretty easily.
Yeah, you do. Well, it's kind of like the old one, no? Isn't it kind of like that?
I mean, I guess if you look at like the scale of things, it showed like obviously you started with like 200 300 health, and they hit you 20 points or whatever, but like the dog thing instantly takes off like 50 when I try to evade him. Like I wasn't even guarding or anything, and it just seems like it's a lot in general, and I don't know. I'm glad it's not as easy though, because if it would feel like Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm gonna keep referring to Kingdom Hearts 3 because
Which one
honestly,
not to do.
yeah, because I mean it was so easy. I mean we were playing on proud mode, and you barely die. I mean like it's very frustrating because proud mode used to be such a fucking like you're proud that you beat this shit, and now it's just like it's just pathetic. So I'm glad like for now, as far as I could see, difficulty, is actually there, especially since you're playing it in both real time and, in a sense, turns to turn based, depending on how you decide to use your abilities and spells with your team. Because that's a couple things they didn't touch on yet that I'm ready to see how they expand on. Like, obviously, different weapons, different spells, materia system, kind of going into that realm. Because here, I mean, everything's preset as far as spells. Like, for some reason, Cloud only has fire, while Barret has cure and lightning, I believe is what it was. But like, mind you, like, I'm curious at how much like the characters at some point will handle. Like, how many summons are they going to have? How much material can they have? If it goes to the old school way of based on your equipment, that's how much material your character has.
Right, that's really interesting, actually.
Like,
The materia.
Yeah, dude. So I'm curious at like when that's all going to become a huge factor into the game, because that is probably what's going to either make or break you, I feel, because you're obviously going to have different builds for these characters at some point. So it's definitely something I'm long-term invested in at this point. It's going to be dope for sure.
Yes, sir.
I think the next thing I want to talk about is the dialogue. Okay, so Joseph, obviously you've played the game.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about the dialogue at first?
So
Because
the
the
dialogue
for me was I had some mixed feelings, but I had to think about it. But I definitely
funny.
so I definitely want to hear it from you first, like how you feel about dialogue.
It is actually a little funny, the dialogue. Like, I want to say some of it, just a little bit, might be some of it the same from the original, but it's funny whenever they actually say it out loud. Some of the dialogue is a little bit like, like not like exactly cheesy, but kind of like, like, oh, okay, I've heard it before. Kind of generic. There you go. It's very generic. Some of it.
No, well, I mean, because like if you think back on the original, right? They use the same fucking writing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, some of it's actually the same. But it's when they say it, you know what I mean? When they perform it, it comes out a little funny.
Well, see, like I think that's what's great about this situation, because I mentioned it earlier. Like this game almost feels like I read the book, which was the original,
right?
And now I'm watching the movie, right? And I think back on that scenario because it almost felt like the dialogue felt really rushed, like throughout the whole thing. But then I'm thinking about this fucking like the sequence in the first game, and dude, it was just literally them trying to haul ass the entire time. But when you think about it, you're there reading the thing, and at the time you don't really know how to read. Mind you, that was kind of me, right? You were 16, so I'm sure you read it more, fluently compared to me. But like, you're there reading it and you don't realize how they're saying it. So like, the minute I heard like more dialogue, I'm like, wow, Cloud's a fucking dick. Like,
yeah. And that's the thing I remember. I was like, hey, when he actually says it here, like you can hear how he just doesn't care about anything. It's really weird. But it's the same dialogue, some of it from the original though. I remember.
Yeah, that's why like a part of me at first was like, dude, I don't know how I feel. Cause like I guess like in our heads, like when we read books, obviously, we have our imagination of what this guy sounds like. And then like you hear it on the way they're interpreting this movie, and you're just like, oh shit, like yeah, that's kind of how that actually went. And he was just a total asshole. And then you have Barret, who's like the very like pre-Barret, where he's just like that freedom fighter and aggressive and obnoxious and rude. And if there's anything about the dialogue that I've enjoyed so far, is their chemistry. Like there's a little bit of chemistry that you see between Cloud and Barret when it's Jesse, Barret, and Cloud, and they're going into the reactor, and this is about the time you're going to use Barret to fight, and Jesse's just like hey, can you do it for me or whatever, and then
Oh yeah, just bear with him for me or something like that.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Cause he's like telling him off, and and then he leaves, and then she tells Cloud like, oh, just bear with him for me, please, or something like that.
yeah, yeah, and then he just looks at Barrett, and Barrett's like, yeah, bitch, and like,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I should have asked for more money.
Yeah.
I was like, that's such a Cloud thing to say. You know what I mean? Like especially like the state of Cloud in the beginning of the game, and I don't know. I thought it was actually very well done. At first I was just like, I don't like this, and then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of who he was. More than anything, like he definitely was this person, and very very interested to see where it goes because there's actually a whole lot of dialogue in this whole entire game, and I don't know if they're going to execute it as well. It's just something to see. At this point, because I think our
Yeah.
imaginations, our expectation at this point. You know.
I think they will. I think that a little bit, when you first see it, I think what it is that we're gonna get used to it, and not that that's like that makes it better, but in a sense like, well, when you get used to it, like the little things that you see here and there don't really matter. It's like the overall performance is kind of like what's gonna make it good.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I guess I just really hope like there's a certain story like because I'm playing the old game now, and it's that story with Barrett after you leave the Golden Dungeon or the Golden Saucer, the Golden Dungeon. What the fuck?
Golden Digit.
It's when they go to the Golden Saucer, and you leave the Golden Saucer because they think you murdered someone or you murdered all those people, but it was that friend of his. I don't know if you remember this. I mean, mind you, that this was years
I don't
ago.
remember that.
And him and the guy are fighting because he's like, you should have been here, and he's like, but I saved your daughter, basically, and like, kind of going back and forth into the game, like this emotional thing where his friend is so angry at him and bitter because he disappeared. And those are the stories that I wonder if they're going to keep in the game to retell, because that was actually such a cool part to see Barrett be this caring person. Because mind
I
you,
want
like,
to say
well,
yes that they
like
are going to do that. I mean, it only makes sense that that's why they're expanding upon it, but maybe they're not. But I mean, I think that's what I think.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like as far as like where it's going, I mean, like my understanding is like they have the blueprint of the game, which is Midgar, and then they said they're going to just add to it. So it's something to think about. Like, I mean, there was a lot of things in the original game I felt like I didn't get done because I didn't know how to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
there
same
was
same
certain
same here.
like I feel like you needed a strategy guide for that
Yeah,
because there's just so much shit to do in that game. And like getting all the ultimate weapons, getting the Knights of the Round Table summon, um, and then when you think of Midgar, like I felt like that whole sequence maybe takes like 10 to 12 hours if you just kind of streamline it. And that's the only thing I guess I could be concerned about is the length of game that they actually have,
right,
just it being Midgar. I hope they're lying to us. And in all reality,
right.
like it's like Midgar, and then it ends with the Temple of Ancients. And if it ends with
If
the
it
Temple of
does,
Ancients,
that would
I
be
will
crazy.
fucking lose my shit. I would
That
lose
would
my
be
shit.
right. That would be crazy.
So I don't know, man. I'm very for this game more than ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I need to know like how much content it's gonna have. If it can at least
Yeah.
give
So
me 20 to 25 hours, I still think it's worth it for the story. But I'd
right.
also be kind of disappointed with the lack of content and the fact that I have to wait because I don't think
Right.
they've talked about like a release schedule for the upcoming games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's something that like I'm very very looking forward to see where they go from there.
Mhm.
And you know, cool fun fact, if you didn't know, Sephiroth, do you know who does the voice acting from him?
Oh yeah, what about Sephiroth?
It's the guy who plays Superman in the CW show.
Hmm.
I forgot his
It's
name.
Brandon Ruth?
Who?
Brandon Ruth?
Is that his name? I might have to
Yeah.
fact check that one. I don't know his name.
Oh wait. No.
No, the
In the
CW show.
CW, right?
Yeah,
I was
CW.
thinking Superman Returns. Oh, okay, no, I know who you're talking about. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name too. I'm about to look it up real quick because I
Wait a
know.
second.
He's a pretty. He came out in Teen Wolf also, and
Right, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name.
I kind of feel weird that I know that he's in Teen Wolf.
I do like the original voice actor for Sephiroth. I kind of feel a little bit weird that they changed it, but oh well.
It's
Have to play the game.
Yeah, I mean we have to. We'll see where it goes. Actually, what? Did I read the wrong? I think I might have read the wrong fact. What's the original guys? Toshiki Murawaki? Is that
I
him?
think so.
Oh, it might. I mean, according to this, it says he still is.
Really?
Yeah. Looks like. Well, man, I must have read the wrong thing. That's for sure. But yeah, apparently he is. Interesting.
Well, maybe that's the Japanese voice actor. I don't know if it's the American voice actor.
That's an interesting one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually. Then.
But yeah, definitely. All in all, I'm stoked for this game. Oh yeah, he's also it's the same guy, dude. It looks like it.
Really?
I mean, I just said that he came out in the movie Advent Children, so.
Wait, really? Oh, okay.
He was also the Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
He was also.
It is?
I mean, I'm trying to look for the credit that he was actually in the original game, and he's in a lot of shit. Like a lot of games, a lot of TV shows. When did this game come out? Jesus Christ. No, it can't be past the 90s. And it was like, oh wait, Control F. Anyway, kind of got too deep into that. But yeah, man, I think overall, like, I'm super stoked for this game, more than anything. Definitely glad I had a chance to play it, and I think we got nothing but good things coming to us as far as Final Fantasy for sure. Because
I know you don't know too much, or maybe you do, but I hope they keep the same voice actor for Zack, which is Cloud's best friend, obviously.
Well, he doesn't really make an appearance in 7, though.
But in Crisis Core, you played the game.
See, like,
you would understand.
See, I know Crisis Core, right? Like, I know like what happens, how it goes, but he doesn't really make an appearance in 7, because
I know.
I guess what's interesting with 7 is like everyone always had this confusion too. I'm actually glad I'm bringing this up because this is a good conversation to have. Everyone gets confused that Aeris and Cloud are a thing,
right?
And it's never been that. And I think I realized that because I think I was one of those people who got that confused because they're very, at least to what I read, it felt like they're flirtatious and gravitated towards each other. But it's more like her idolizing Zack, and that's kind of where
I think that's what it is.
And it's just how like she can't really forget Zack at this point.
Yeah.
So and then obviously like ultimately Tifa and Cloud are truly going to be the ones that end up together. So I'm kind of interested to see how they build Cloud's relationship with everyone, because I mean the whole cross-dressing thing's hilarious, and whenever that happens, like You know, it's such a weird, like, I was 12 when I played this game, so it was like, why am I watching this? Or, you know, mind you, it was like not 8-bit, like whatever bit at the time it was. It was just such a weird thing to witness cross-dressing at the time, especially like considering our culture at the time. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for where that goes. What do you call it? But overall, Joey, what do you think after kind of hearing what we have to say?
I can't really think much on it, you know. I think I really need to basically get a feel for the old game and just get more experience in Final Fantasy VII, because I'm actually very interested in this right now. I think it's really interesting to watch. And yeah, but I don't know. I think I just need to find more understanding in it, because I get what y'all are saying, but I suppose if I'm not seeing it go down, like, I don't know what the hell's going on, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. I mean, like, there's a lot of lore.
Yeah, there is a lot
Right.
going on.
Like there's so much. Like, I mean, like, mind you, there was 3 discs worth of content for it at the time, and I mean, at first it almost feels like it's hard to follow at a young age, but it really wasn't. Like, you know, like the bare bones of the story and like almost any game was to almost save the world. You know, ideally, that's kind of what this game starts with, hence the first mission. You know, like they're there to destroy this reactor that's destroying the world. And, you know, he's a mercenary at the time because he used to be a part of Soldier. And mind you, when you first hear of all this, because mind you, Final Fantasy VII is the first thing that came out of all the discussions we've currently had. Like, because it was Final Fantasy VII, then eventually they created, I believe, Advent Children, and then Crisis Core. So essentially, as far as the lore comes out, it's really Crisis Core is the first one. Final Fantasy VII is in between, and then Advent Children. And what's crazy is like Advent Children kind of ends. I wouldn't say it ends Cloud's story, but it kind of circles his arc almost, because it really, like, again, like it becomes this plot of saving the world in the very beginning, but it's also like this coming of age story with Cloud and like who he ends up becoming through this journey. And it's kind of insane, you know, because like his outlook in this game and like him being a dick is explained in Crisis Core. And you know, what he goes through in 7, you know, is entirely, like, in a sense, on his own. And it's so interesting, man. It's very, very interesting. So I definitely think, like, I know I'm probably going to stream some Final Fantasy VII pretty soon, especially considering how this is going. I'll definitely hop on there and play that. So if you want to catch it, but I'm like out pretty far at this point. But if you want to watch parts of it from there, you totally can. It definitely looks pretty sick for the most part. So.
Interesting.
But Joseph, I guess before we wrap this conversation over, you know, what's one thing you want to see, I guess, out of this game? Like,
I mean, they might. I mean, because, you know, they're expanding upon it, so they might, you know, include something from Crisis Core. You never know, memories or something. You never know, man. That's what I want to see. I want to see Crisis Core.
That's fair. That's pretty fair. I'm actually looking really forward at this point to the sequence with Genova.
That's gonna be interesting.
And how they evolve her through the games. Because, I mean, obviously, Genova takes so many different forms. And, you know, what they plan on doing with her in itself is super, super interesting. Yeah, it's going to be badass, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But cool. All right. Well, Joey, play Final Fantasy VII or watch it,
I'm
whatever.
probably gonna watch one of those long plays of it.
You should. I mean, it's not as engaging, obviously, but at least you'll get what we've been
Yes,
talking about for
I
like
think
almost an hour. So,
it's-
um, but yeah, man, I think we're gonna call it a night. Everyone that's here today, check out my YouTube channel, STS Gaming, that's Shoot.The.Shit Gaming. I do live stream as well, and we do the exact same thing that we're doing here. Just talking about shit we like and what we're passionate about. And hang out with us. We're actually a Smite clan, and it's very fun and entertaining because we get really obnoxious, and it's pretty great. But check out the channel, check out the podcast. And let me know if you want to be a part of this. Feel free to drop me a link, and we could totally shoot the shit. Night, everyone.
Good night.
Farewell.